The views expressed in this blog are hosted on my own website, are strictly personal, and do not reflect the views of any organization. Hello and welcome, my friends, once again to my weekly video blog, Straight Bat, where, as the title suggests, I comment with a straight bat. The title of the blog this week: War Minus the Shooting, borrowed from a 1996 book on the World Cup then by Mike Marquez. And indeed, India-Pakistan cricket is the focus, because that really has become, unfortunately, war minus the shooting, as we've seen in the last week. For years, I have been a great proponent of India-Pakistan cricket. I do believe, as a cricket romantic, you can say, that the two countries should be playing more with each other rather than less. I've always believed that sport can break boundaries beyond the boundary, can instill a sense of hope in otherwise depressing times in this hyper-polarized world in which we live. But unfortunately, after watching the events unfold over the last week, since India played Pakistan in the T20 World Cup last weekend, I am beginning to have serious doubts over the viability of India-Pakistan cricket. Just look at the shameful statements in the first instance that have emanated from across the border from some of Pakistan's big politicians and cricketers after Pakistan's big win. Take, for example, Sheikh Rashid, Pakistan's interior minister, someone whom I have known for years as a loudmouth bigot. Rashid has been up to his usual tricks again, and commenting on the cricket victory, he is quoted as saying, "This is a victory for Islam. All Muslims around the world are rejoicing." This is typical of the divisive, religious, bigoted mindset, my friends, that partitioned the subcontinent. And this is Pakistan's interior minister. Not an admonition, sadly, from Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan, himself a World Cup winning captain. Now, does Imran endorse what his minister says? Or should we not expect any better from the Pakistan Prime Minister? Because I recall that former High Commissioner to Pakistan, G. Parthasarathi, once telling me a story of how a Pakistani journalist recollected that when Imran was asked how he bowled with extra fire against India, he said, "Whenever I play with India, I don't treat it as a game. I think of Kashmir and treat it as jihad." This was Imran Khan in his playing days. Now, one of Imran's fast bowling proteges, Waqar Younis, has lowered the bar even further in outright bigotry, shameful outright bigotry. On a TV show, Waqar claimed that watching Rizwan do namaz during his match-winning knock against India amidst Hindus was a special moment from him. Waqar has since apologized, saying he got carried away by the emotions of the moment. But truth is that Waqar Younis has only exposed himself and his true feelings in a live TV situation, exposed himself as a shameless religious bigot. You know, I wonder sometimes that if a legend of Pakistan cricket is going to speak this language, what can one expect from an ordinary citizen of the country? Sorry, Waqar Bhai, this is not done. You have a toxic mindset that is disgusting and shameful. I know some people on Twitter have commented when I refer to Waqar Younis as Waqar Bhai. Well, nothing wrong in that in my view. My philosophy in life, best encapsulated by what Michelle Obama once said: when they go low, you go high. Now, speaking of Waqar, let me tell you a story. We once contracted Waqar Younis for a TV series, cricket TV series, when I was at CNN IBN in the 2000s. He was all praise then for the Indian cricket team and the Indian players. We paid him top dollars, and therefore I wonder whether there is a certain duplicity in the manner in which cricketers will say one thing for a Pakistan domestic audience and will say something very different for an Indian audience. Dare I say, he who pays the piper calls the tune. There is meanwhile a very interesting thread on Twitter that exposes several Pakistani cricketers, the likes of Shoaib Tanveer, for example, for being little more than closet Islamists who are resorting to Islamist hyper-nationalism to cater to the baser audiences or the baser desires of their audiences. Are our cricketers different? Well, yes and no. Take for example Virender Sehwag's tweet after the match, and this is what I want to quote. Firecrackers are banned during Diwali, but yesterday in parts of India there were firecrackers to celebrate Pakistan's victory. Acha, they must have been celebrating victory of cricket. So what's the harm in fireworks in Diwali? Hypocrisy kyun? Sara gyan tabhi yaad aata hai. The insinuation in this tweet was very obvious. The Indian Muslim in some form is effectively being accused of celebrating a Pakistani victory. It was an entirely untruthful, avoidable remark, certainly not needed in an atmosphere where communal hatred is so easily ignited. Sehwag's opening partner Gautam Gambhir also tweets, those bursting crackers on Pakistan winning can't be Indians, we stand by our boys. Now Gambhir is a BJP MP from East Delhi. Many of his party leaders we know have used far more incendiary language when gaslighting a community. Remember how Amit Shah, Home Minister of the country, used the term termites to describe immigrants from Bangladesh, and he warned in a Bihar campaign that if the BJP lost, crackers would be burst in Pakistan. Not a word then was said again by reprimand by the Prime Minister of the country. Gambhir hopefully is still a sports person first. So I would love to know from him, from Sehwag, how many Indians in how many parts of the country were actually bursting crackers when Pakistan won. And while the celebrations perhaps in some parts of the country, like in a medical college in Kashmir, were an act of needless provocation entirely avoidable, does that make those involved criminals or terrorists who should be booked under UAPA? In the times in which we live, cricketers need to be bridge builders who bring out the best in us, not the worst in us. No one would like to see any Indian burst a cracker when India loses to Pakistan, but let's for God's sake look beyond these dog whistles where an entire community is somehow being put on test every time India plays Pakistan. It is precisely this climate of constantly questioning the patriotism of every Indian Muslim that leads to unfortunate troll attacks of the kind that we saw on fast bowler Mohammad Shami after the India defeat. Yes, some of the trolling may have been fixed and orchestrated from across the border, but let's be honest, and this is the sad truth, there are enough people in our country also who are today seeing sport through the lens of religious identity. I am glad in a way that all the greats of Indian sport stood by Shami in the face of what was a totally unwarranted attack. And I am also glad the skipper, Kohli, and indeed the Indian team handled themselves with such dignity after the defeat. Was it always this bad though? I ask myself sometimes. I would like to believe not. I'll tell you an interesting story. My late father, Dilip Sardesai's benefit match in 1978 had three Pakistani players, Mushtaq Mohammad, Sadiq Mohammad and Sarfraz Nawaz. Three players who were playing in India for the first time after almost 17 years a Pakistani player was playing in India. The crowd in Ahmedabad was houseful and they gave a rapturous welcome to the Pakistanis. I recall even more memorably in 1999, as some of you will, how the Chennai crowd stood up and applauded Wasim Akram and his team after they won a match against India, a terrific test match, and they did a lap of honor. I also recall being in Lahore in 2004 when Lakshmipati Balaji was bowling and the entire crowd was cheering, Balaji zara dheere chalo. And my son, who was sitting next to me, was given a Pakistani flag by a Pakistani supporter after Pakistan lost, saying, well played guys, you were much the better team. This is also a reality, my friends. I have even been witness to Bishan Singh Bedi once traveling with me to Pakistan with a box of rum, and the customs in Pakistan allowed him to move unchecked because they said Bishan Paji hamare hero hai. When did it all change, my friends? When did it all change for the worse? I'm not so sure. Maybe a new generation on both sides of the border has been fed with this constant diet of hate, paranoia, and dare I say cross-border terror emanating out of Pakistan, that there is no appetite left for a concept like Aman Ki Asha. Maybe competing religious nationalisms on both sides have actually descended into naked jingoism. Maybe the social media world has unleashed a Frankenstein that no one can control anymore. As a cricket romantic, I must feel saddened today. I grew up watching the great Imran versus Gavaskar battles and thought that that was really what Test cricket was truly all about. But maybe that teenage, dewy-eyed romanticism over cricket and the romance of cricket has now moved into a harsher world where sport is tied up with surcharged religious identities. I want to watch more India-Pakistan cricket matches, to be very honest, but only if we can please turn down the volume. All of us, including particularly the prime-time warriors of television channels, need to start seeing cricket as a game, not as a mauka to settle scores. Win or lose, can we please have less noise when India plays Pakistan? Or am I being a dreamer? Thanks for watching The Straight Bat. Do subscribe to my YouTube channel for many more such videos. For now, stay well, stay safe. Have a great Diwali festive season. Greetings to you and your families. Thanks for watching. Bye for now. Namaskar. Jai Hind.